Hi, welcome to our video on mixed cell referencing. So let's look at how we can use mixed cell references. So if we take example here, we got some products A to D and the quarterly sales and the total. And let's say here we want to calculate the percentage. So if we take quarter 1 for product A, we take C4 and divide by G4. And here of course we will, when you're copying, we'll have to fix G4 when you're copying to the right so that it doesn't change. We will have to make it an absolute cell reference. So you can either type the dollar signs in front of the G and the 4, or you can use the F4 key. So F4 key will actually, if you toggle through F4 key, it will give you all the options with the dollar signs. So what we want is the fixed cell reference like this, absolute cell reference, and then once we have done the formula, we can copy it to the right. So this formula is okay, but let's say what will happen if we copy the formula down. If we copy the formula down like this, now the formula doesn't work. The reason is that we have fixed G4, and when we come to the product B, the row number should be 5, but it's fixed as 4, right? So it doesn't change. So what we can do here is we can actually allow the row number to change when you're copying down. So to do that, what we need to do is remove the dollar sign in front of the number 4, right? So now see, when you have a only $1 sign either in front of the letter or the number, then that becomes a mixed cell reference. So this is different from the absolute cell reference and the cell referencing used in relative cell referencing. Okay, so once we have done the formula, so we can copy it to the right, so it's fine, and also we can copy it down. So if we come here and double check, see, for product B is correct. Now it's going to the row number 5. And also if we come down, product D, the row number has become 7. So because we are using mixed cell references for the G7 cell. And when you copy down like this, you should always come to the final cell when you copy like this diagonally, the last cell, and you have to check whether that formula is correct. So here that formula is also correct. So that means all the in-between formulas should be fine for you. Okay, so that's one way we can use the mixed cell referencing in a simple example. So let's look at another short way of doing this. So instead of copying the formulas, we can actually do in a kind of a shorter way. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to select the whole area where the formulas are coming, and here you will see this cell is the active cell. So this is where we will be entering the formula, the first formula. So we will take quarter 1 divided by the total, and see here again we have to put the dollar sign in front of only the letter G. So it becomes a mixed cell reference. So we can put a dollar sign in front of the G and nothing in front of the 4. And here the shortcut method is to populate this whole area with this single formula without dragging and copying to the right and down. We can use the Ctri+Enter method, which we have covered in our video on efficient formula entry in Excel. So the link to that file video is also given below in the description. So we can press Ctrl and Enter. See, at once all the formulas are now populated, and here we can come and check the last formula again. So it's correct. So we are taking quarter 4 into the total. So all the in-between formulas are also correct. So let's look at another example. If we go to sheet 2, so here we are doing a small forecast for a company. We got the sales values and the variable costs, and then we got the total variable cost and the gross profit, and we have some assumptions or inputs. We are going to say the January sales is 10,000, Month on month sales increase is 2.5%. Variable cost 1 is a percentage of sales, as a percentage of sales is 15%, and so on. Variable cost 4 is 5% of sales. So these are our inputs or assumptions. So here we have just done the first formula to forecast the sales. So sales is sales coming from the cell 1, the January sales, into 1 plus the growth rate. So the growth rate is 2.5%, and we need to fix the cell references, absolute cell references, and copy the formula to the right. So that has been done. So now let's look at how we can do the variable cost formulas for all of this whole area using one mixed cell reference formula. Okay, so how do we do it? First of all, we do the basic formula for variable cost 1, which is C4 into variable cost 1 percentage, that is C15. So this is the first basic formula, and if we want to copy this formula to whole of this variable cost area and use only one formula, we have to use mixed cell referencing. So that is where we only put $1 either in front of the letter or the number, right? So let's take the first cell reference, C4. So C4 is basically the sales for January. So once we take one of these cell references, we need to ask ourselves, when we copy to the right and when we copy it down, what should be happening to the letter and the number in their cell reference? So if we take C, that is the column C. So if we are taking this formula to the right, what happens is we need C to change to D when it comes here, and so on. So C needs to be changing when it's copied to the right. And what happens if we copy it down? So here always the sales is in the same column, C. So when we copy it down, C should not be changing. So it's a situation where when we take the letter C, when we copy it to the right, it should be changing, and when we copy it down, it should not be changing. So we should not be putting a dollar in front of the C letter. So let's take the number now in the cell reference. Let's ask ourselves the same questions. If we copy to the right, should 4 be changing? And if we copy it down, should 4 be changing? So if we take number 4 here, so that is the sales, and 4, when we copy this to the right, so what needs to happen is this number 4 should not be changing because it's in the same sales is in the 4th row, so it should not be changing when we copy it to the right. But if we copy it down, what happens? We need 4 to again, we don't need 4 to change, we need that to be fixed. So it's a situation when we copy it to the right and when we copy it down, the 4 should not be changing. So we can fix that using a $sign in front of the 4. So this is the first mixed cell reference done for the C4 cell reference. So that is fine. So let's move on to the second cell reference, that is C15. Again, we ask ourselves the same question. When we copy it to the right and when we copy it down, should the letter C be changing and the number 15 be changing? Let's take the letter first. So if we take the C, when we copy it to the right, it should not be changing, right? So it's a situation when we copy to February and so on, the C should not be changing. And if we copy it down as well, the C should not be changing because the variable cost is in the C column. So we need to fix that, and we can put a $sign in front of the C. Then we move on to the number 15. Again, we ask, if we copy to the right, should the number 15 be changing? it's a case this 15 the row should not be changing from here, so we don't change to the right. And when we copy down the 15, then should be changing to 16, 17 and so on. So it's a situation when we copy down the C should 15 should be changing, and when we copy to the right it should be not changing. So we don't put a dollar sign in front of the 15 to fix it. So this is our correct mixed cell reference formula done for this first formula. So we can actually copy this whole formula to the whole area like this. And once we do the formula to a whole area like this, we can come here, go to the diagonally opposite last cell, and we can check whether that formula is correct. So it's taking sales of December and the variable cost 4%. So the formula, the last formula is also correct. So nothing to double check, all the in between formulas are all correct. So again we can do a more of a shorter method of formula entry using the Ctri+Enter method, which we covered earlier in our previous video also on efficient formula entry. So what we do is first we select the whole area, and once we select the whole area, in the active cell we do the first formula as before. Okay, and then we do the cell referencing. C4 should become C$4. So we put a dollar in front of the 4, and C15 should become $C15. So we fix only the C. So once we have done that, the first formula, mixed cell referencing all done, we press Ctri+Enter. So once we press Ctri+Enter, the whole area is populated with the formula. So this is a more shortcut method which saves you time when you're using mixed cell referencing and you want to copy the formulas to a whole area like this. So now we can calculate the total variable cost. We can use alt equal shortcut for auto sum, and we sum the total variable costs, and we can copy it across, and then we can calculate the gross profit. So that's sales minus the variable cost. Now let's look at another way we can do formulas like mixed cell references without using the normal mixed cell reference method, using dynamic arrays. So if you have the Office 365 version, we can use the dynamic array formulas to quickly do formulas that replicate what's happening in mixed cell references. So here if you want to calculate this percentage table, so it's very easy. What we need to do is first select all the quarters, the sales C4 to F7, right? So that is one array and this range, and we multiply divide by the total sales value. So we are taking each of these values, quarter 1, quarter 4, like that for all the products, and dividing by the respective total sales values here to get the percentages. So all we need to do is we can just press enter, and we will have to correct the formatting. So we're going to make it percentages, right? So here we just did one formula here, and this formula has spilled into this area, giving all the same values as before. So this is another quick way to do dynamic array formulas without using mixed cell references. We can do the same thing if we go back to the mixed cell referencing exercise we did for the variable cost. So again we can do a formula let's come here, we will take the total. In this case we will take the variable the sales values from here and multiply by the respective percentages for the variable cost, and we can just press enter and see. If you come to this side and let me change the formatting again, let's take the decimals out. So here we are getting the same table for the variable cost from 1500 to 656 at the end in this variable dynamic array formula range. So this is another quick way to avoid using mixed cell references if you have the Office 365 version of Excel which has dynamic arrays. So thanks for watching. See you again on a new video.